We good to go? We are live. What is up, Van Life Summit? I am Mitch with Stone Coat Epoxy. I'm going to be your host today, and we're going over epoxy shower walls. What is Stone Coat Epoxy? We are America's premier DIY epoxy brand where we teach you how to cover your countertops, floors, shower walls, tabletops, and more using Stone Coat Epoxy. Our epoxy is DIY friendly, easy to use, no nasty smells, so you could do this in your small van, schoolie, RV, or whatever you have without wearing a bunch of respirators and all that. You're not gonna stink out your entire van. I am going over foam. Let me pull this down right here. This is what we're doing today. This is a piece of insulation foam that I picked up at the Home Depot. It's 1 inch thick. You could go to 1/2 inch if that's available in your area. We've used our quick coat. Step one, you cut this to size. I just used a sheetrock knife and a straight edge, so no fancy tools are needed. That's a unique thing about your van or your schoolie. There's no, cookie cutter shower option for you. You either have to go tile or something very heavy or expensive. This is gonna be your lightweight version, your lightweight option to create a custom look in your own van, doing it yourself. We have multiple videos on our YouTube channel, Stone Coat Epoxy, that teach you how to work with epoxy step by step. We have downloadable, printable step-by-step tutorials on our website. But let's get back to this shower panel. We got 1 inch foam. Step one, cut it to size. Step two, I'm going to apply our quick coat. This is this first coating here, and that embeds a fiberglass mesh roll into this foam, which makes it impact resistant. We let that dry. We come back and paint 2 coats of our epoxy undercoat. That comes in white or black. For this version, I went white. Let that dry 3 hours, and now we're ready to pour the color coat, which is this right here. I tinted our epoxy with some white, gray, a little bit of silver, and poured that out right over my panel. That will be dry and ready to install the next day, 24 hours later. You install these, you want to get a waterproof, you want to pre-waterproof your shower area with like a waterproof membrane. Red Guard, Ardex makes a version. You roll that on, let that dry, and then you just apply this to your wall with silicone. You're going to put blobs of silicone on this panel, push it nice and tight, right up to your wall. That's gonna stay there, let that silicone dry, and now you have a waterproof shower panel. When your panel comes this way, you're gonna silicone that seam, that encapsulates that, gets that perfectly watertight. All right, enough of that part. Let's get down and dirty with the epoxy. So right before we started, I mixed my material for 2 minutes using a paddle mixer and a drill. The epoxy is a 1-to-1 ratio material by volume, not weight. So you're just gonna go 1 to 1. And I mixed up about 4 ounces of our material per square foot of shower panel. I've totally prepared this panel. It's got the mesh, it's got the undercoat, it's ready for the epoxy. So I'm gonna do a very simple method today using my gloved hands. I have tinted the epoxy with a white opaque dye, with copper metallic powder, brown dye, white mica powder. This is dark bronze mica powder. Then we have little accent colors of diamond dust and blue earth. So there's multiple ways to make epoxy countertops or shower walls. This is just one simple method. Check out the YouTube channel for tons of other techniques. There's way more than one way to skin this cat. All right, I'm gonna apply my white down first, and I'm just gonna go kind of in strips. I'm going random here, but I want my flow kind of all going top to bottom. So just come along and take your tinted and mixed epoxy and then start applying it to your shower panel. So working time, once you're mixed, guys, you have about 45 minutes to an hour to get this countertop to look just the way you want it, or the shower panel. You could tell I make a lot of countertop videos. The epoxy will self-level perfectly smooth as a sheet of glass. You just want to take your time mixing. That's one of the most important steps. You're going to mix for 2 minutes, taking time to scrape the sides and bottom of that bucket. you want to start out with a really good mix. Our epoxy is also very durable and scratch resistant, heat resistant up to 450 degrees. So it's built and designed for the use and abuse in your kitchen and bathroom environment. We developed Stone Coat initially for kitchen and bathroom for the DIYer. I was initially a granite installer. I installed granite across Southern Oregon for 10, 12 years, and the price tag is insane. So my brother and I wanted to develop a product that the do-it-yourselfer could do themselves and save thousands versus going to the big box store for a countertop or floor option. So like I said, we have flooring epoxy, countertop epoxy, shower epoxy. They're all about the same, but they have different uses. And they're all very lightweight, which is that's a great point when you have a house on wheels that you're driving across the country having to pay for gas. So save yourself some money. Go lightweight on your finishes. It's just random with it at this point. I'm keeping it away for the edges because once you have epoxy going over the edge, it's going to start running over. All right, let's go a little more white here. I'm going to come back and just fill up any dry spots now with some more color. Trust the process. You guys are probably looking at this going, what is he doing? Boom, boom, more white. And let me know, everybody, where you are all watching from. How have you enjoyed the Van Life Summit so far? I've been watching them. They've been pretty cool. I'm learning all sorts of stuff. I have not built my very own skoolie yet. I have plans to. I cannot wait. I'm going to have the coolest epoxy covered skoolie in the country. You just wait. All right, we're getting close to meld time. This is awesome. Let me know any comments you have, any questions. Let me know in the comments of the stream. We've got my camera guy, Luke, Chris, Nathan's behind the camera guy here today. We're here to help answer any questions you may have. I'm gonna save my blue accent till I've melded this project first. And this is called diamond dust. It adds a sparkle and shine to the epoxy that you can't get anywhere else. Okay, we are just about ready to meld. Let me add some up here. All right, I've got epoxy pretty much applied. There's quite a bit of dry spots. I'm gonna take my gloved hands at this point and just start to move and meld colors. You don't wanna go too aggressive. You're gonna make all the colors become one. It kind of creates mud. So we're just nice and easy, light pressure. We're gonna bring colors over one another, blend them, keeping the same flow through the whole project. Pull some of that white over the other colors and it really does some cool stuff. No special tools needed, just your gloved hands. Scoot these out of the way a little bit. You can kind of see as I just kind of skip along. Ooh, that is brown. That is pretty. I'm focusing at this point on making any dry areas wet with resin. And it's okay to keep some white spots like that. That's gonna really turn out pretty when I mix this with alcohol. So after I get done melding, I'm gonna come back with some isopropyl alcohol and mist that over my project. And as I've laid these colors over one another, the alcohol will fracture the resin, and then the colors are gonna fight for first string. They're gonna fight for which one's gonna be exposed and do some really Cool stuff. I'm gonna come around. Whoa, got a camera right there. Can't come around that way. So you can get as busy or as mild as you really want at this point. It's dealer's choice. That's a cool part about Stone Coat Epoxy is it's customizable to whatever your color scheme may be. We were out there for Gutted watching Casey and Igor. They were on the RV team. I can't tell too much, but they made an epoxy shower. So we were out there watching and supporting that, and they did so good. I can't wait for that to come out. That's coming out here shortly on, oh man, Blank Space. You can also take all these colors and pour them all into one bucket, dump that bucket out over your project, and you have instant countertops. That's what I did for this style right here. Okay. I don't like these little strings that I'm creating. And always take your gloved hand and wet down your edges. Epoxy likes to flow where epoxy is. So once you get it wet, the resin is going to evenly flow over those edges, creating very pretty high definition edges. So before I move on to forward, I'm going to hit those edges real quick. So to get the edges nice and pretty too, I used a sander. So I cut my panel out with a sheetrock knife. Then I took a sander and sanded my edges nice and smooth. So no fancy tools are needed to create these panels. Okay, I don't like when I leave those little strings coming into any dry spots. Touch that, and then the epoxy is gonna flow. Bam, all right. Yeah.
Let's see. Can you join multiple foam panels if you need one larger than one sheet?
Very, very good question. And you can see right behind me, this is a giant foam wall. That's 4x8, that's 3 or 4 4x8 sheets of foam that I taped together. You cement with regular old contractor's tape. It's crazy. It's almost like rebar. You tape it together, then you come back with that quick coat, and it soaks through that masking tape and it becomes a piece of rebar. It's just as hard as the epoxy is. It works very well. We'll tape the front, we'll tape the back, then we'll apply the mesh and quick coat, and that foam is now one piece. We poured this way across the shop on the ground, picked it up, walked it over here, and installed it with glue. So yes, the answer is yes. Very good question. All right, let's go. I'm gonna get this. These colors are wild. So what I don't like are all my little strings here. That's because I was dragging my fingers across. So just take any of those little stringers out of there. But the next step, we're gonna miss some alcohol over this. Watch it come to life. Actually, psych. Next step, we're gonna see all this air bubbles in the epoxy. That gets incorporated in when I'm mixing, when I'm working with it. So you could use a heat gun, you could use a blow dryer, but the best method is using a propane torch. This is gonna break up the surface tension, and all the air bubble evacuates the epoxy very easily. So take your torch and just sweep the surface. This eliminates all the air you've incorporated into the resin. You can watch it pop. Let us know in the comments where y'all watching from. We are in Southern Oregon right here in Grants Pass, Oregon. Damn. All right. To fully remove the air out of your project, you're gonna wanna torch the surface a minimum of 3 times. So I'll torch left to right, I'll let it hang out for 5 minutes, do that again. But you have a good 45 minutes to an hour to work with this. I wouldn't torch the project maybe an hour and 20 minutes later, that's a little bit too late. This is some 91% isopropyl alcohol, rubbing alcohol. This will also help pop bubbles, but it adds a selling or lacing effect to the resin like I was talking about earlier. Keep this in your back pocket if you're working with epoxy. It takes the man-made look and makes it look very natural. That's what I'm always going for when I'm working with epoxy. I'm trying to create and mimic what Mother Nature does so it looks realistic, but you can also add some wild colors because I know you RV and van lifers like it a little bit frisky. So here we go. I'm going 91% isopropyl and I'm misting that out over my project. And then I take these little drips. Woo! And it comes to life. Boom! That is sweet. Easy as that, folks. So I'm going to come by, if I have any areas that I've missed that has some surface tension, like right up here, I will come and hit that with my finger, and the epoxy flows well. Wow, that looks good. You can see how this alcohol also breaks up those little strings. So those little things of the epoxy following my fingers. I didn't like that look, but I knew this alcohol was going to break that up and make it look more natural. So the bigger drops, I'll put a puddle in my hand, and then I come back and just kind of throw it out like I work in an Italian restaurant or something. Bam. So not all, van conversion is going to have a shower. But school buses, things like that, your big RVs are always going to have a shower. And talking with the community, that's always kind of a pain point for folks. Because you go do a tile shower, you're going to add tons of weight. Now you're going to pay for that going across the country. You don't want to do that. Same for your countertops. Butcher block can get pretty dang heavy as well. That's very popular for a finish in the RV world. You could take a 3/4 inch piece of wood and coat it with this material. The epoxy only weighs about 10 pounds a gallon. So a 2-gallon kit is 20 pounds of material. A 2-gallon kit will fully cover 40 square feet of countertops or shower walls. So, I mean, it goes a long way without adding very much weight at all. And really, man, this is looking so good. I don't even know if I want to mess with this anymore. I was going to show you all different techniques and stuff, but I don't know if I want to touch this. This thing is looking fantastic. I didn't add any blue. What? All right, we're doing more. Here we go. We're adding blue. Oh, tell me that don't look good in there. Oh boy. Oh boy, howdy. Just adding it in sporadic spots. And I think I'm going to show them what a dirty pour vein does. Why not, right? How much time we got left? Let me know any questions or comments too, folks. Normally,
again, how the foam is prepped.
They want to hear how the foam is prepped again? Cool. I would love to tell that. I'll show them right. Ooh, I'm all messy. I can't really touch this right now because I'm all sticky. But we have the 1 inch or 1/2 inch foam from the Home Depot. This is called high performance extruded poly. I can't even read it. They cut off the word. Okay, it's the pink stuff with the pink panther on it at the Home Depot, all right? All right, it's pink insulation foam. It's dense. It's not the white foam that's really squishy. So we have the pink foam. Cut it to size with a sheetrock knife. You can also use a skill saw, but really just use a sheetrock knife. It's mega easy. And then I used a sander to clean up my edges with 220 to 120 grit. Next step, 3 ounces of quick coat. That's a fast setting epoxy. Unlike this, where I have an hour to work with it, quick coat, you got about 20 minutes to work with it. So I mix that up. I apply that with a trowel, nice even coating, and then I embed our fiberglass mesh, which is right here. We sell all these items on our website. There should be a link in the comments from Luke. That's going to take you to a landing page where I display all these products for you for a simple purchase. And this is our fiberglass mesh. So we got the raw foam, then we go quick coat, embed the mesh. And then we cover that with another layer of quick coat. That way none of the mesh is exposed. That takes about 4 hours of work, right? Waiting for that to dry in between. Next step, we're gonna paint 2 coats of our undercoat. This is a paint. We can have that in white or black. Do 2 coats, let that dry a couple hours, sand that in between coats, and then we're applying the epoxy like you just saw here. So the prep for the foam is quite simple. The only extra step you're doing is applying this mesh, but it makes it impact resistant. If you slip, slide, punch, headbutt, you're good to go. All right, I got the blue in here. Golly, that looks good. I'm gonna meld it just to, I do. All right, this is a flooring tool to cheat. It's called a magic trowel. I'm gonna grab that and pull my blue with it. It's just a way, and then when I come back and mist it, I'm gonna do this with my hand though. Boom, okay. I don't know if I like that. Let me see what this does. So having the epoxy have this much working time, ooh, tight. It allows you to kind of push the envelope a little bit. I didn't like how that looked at first, but it looks really good once I mist it. I'm digging that. Now I'm gonna show what we call a dirty pour or an exotic pour. We're gonna take all my leftover material and I'll pour it back into a empty bucket, right? Got a little bit of clear here. Put that in there. Then I'm gonna layer up these colors and create a little vein. You're just gonna randomly pour in what remaining colors you have into this bucket. So I've made entire showers and countertops using this method alone. Just get your color scheme ready, tint it all, which it's about, for this size epoxy, which is 1 quart, you're going about 1 to 2 tablespoons of our mica powder. That comes in a 15-gram baggie. So it goes a long way, and it's actually a natural mineral and metal. So they're actually makeup grade stuff. So pretty safe for you to use. I'm gonna make this a heavy blue though. Bam.
How does the epoxy stand up to heat?
So, very good question. Our epoxy's been designed for the kitchen environment, so it can stand up to 450 degrees. So if you set a cookie sheet or a pot right on it, you're good to go. It will not ruin your epoxy. Great question. And once it's cured, it's 100% solid, so it's impervious to water. That's why it makes a very good shower. All right, now I have this cup of all those mixed up colors, right? You're going, what are you about to do, bro? This guy's gonna ruin his project. But I'm not. Here we go. I'll actually come from B-roll. I'm gonna go right. Boop. That's sweet. I'm gonna leave that be. So you can see if I did this for the entire countertop, I would just go back and forth with my giant bucket of mixed colors and let that self-level out, and it gives you some really pretty, amazing looks. And we still have plenty of time to work with this. I'm gonna remove some more air real quick. Again, let me know any comments, questions about shower walls, countertops, whatever it is with epoxy, I got your back. We have a, yeah, one sec. we have a top coat, but that's more of a countertop product, right? Our shower walls are going vertical. You're not sliding and eating on top of those countertops. So many of the showers I install, I will just install like this. I'll let it dry. I'll go glue it up. It'll be ready for install 24 hours from right now. If you're going countertops, we have a glossy and a matte, like a semi-gloss final top coat that very durable, adds a layer of almost UV protection on there as well to get that epoxy's life even further extended. Our epoxy is very durable. It bonds extremely well, does not crack, peel, or delaminate in the shower, in the countertop application. We even have a flooring epoxy. It's a 2-to-1, a little bit thinner. It spreads further, but you could do your entire floor. And we also have a non-slip grip you can add into there. So, you know, walking out of the shower when your feet are wet, you're not gonna slip and slide. The epoxy's about as slippy as like tile is when you get out of the shower, so no big deal there. I'm gonna mist, man, that vein's kind of cool in the middle. It added that blue really well. I like it. I'm gonna mist it again one more time. You could keep, as the epoxy is curing, it's becoming thicker. Right now it's its most fluid state. It's gonna continue to self-level out. So you're selling that lacing that you do with the alcohol. I'll keep coming in and layering that on my piece for probably 1 to 2 more times, and then I'm gonna walk away and let this cure.
Interesting question. What if you're applying the foam to a curved surface?
Ooh, that's a great question. It can curve. So the 1/2-inch foam is even more flexible than the 1-inch foam. When we were developing Stone Coat Epoxy, we had to have some flexual strength in that for the overhangs, for the bar tops that have an overhang. If you were to have that too rigid and it flexed, that's when the epoxy cracks. So this epoxy can, you're not gonna bend it at a 90, but if you wanted to take a 1/2-inch piece of foam, pour your epoxy, and then go on like a 3-foot radius, you totally could do that. I've seen it happen. You just glue it. You may have to have some structure holding it on to that because it's gonna wanna pull off until that silicone dries. But once that dries, it's not coming anywhere. Very good question. I need to show that application now. I am absolutely loving this color scheme. I've done this color scheme, but with a lot less white. So I'm pumped about all the white. It adds all this pretty lacing. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of diamond dust lines.
How does the heat gun work on it?
Heat gun. The heat gun, hold on one sec. The heat gun works a lot like the torch does, but it's pushing air. It's blowing a bunch more air than the torch does. So it can really move and meld colors differently than the torch does, but they both will do the same effect to remove air from the resin. These little silver lines are a great effect to it, so I'm gonna keep doing those. Boop. Diamond dust, I love this stuff. We've been selling and installing Stone Coat in our area for a decade now, and we started selling it to the public about 5 or 6 years ago and teaching folks on YouTube how to do it. So if you haven't, check out the YouTube channel, subscribe, crush the like buttons, help us grow. We go over most any application when it comes to epoxy. We teach you step by step how to do it. This is a awesome product for the do-it-yourselfer to save money versus having a professional do it. Saves you time waiting for them to come. You do not have to go to the big giant box store, except for the foam, of course. But really the only thing you need, you can mix this by hand with a paint stick. You do not need a drill. That just speeds it up. There's not much needed here, guys. It's a lot more fun to work with than it really is work. And the finishes are absolutely beautiful. So to cut out your shower, handles and stuff like that, I often do that tomorrow after this is cured. If you want to cut that out previous with your sheetrock knife, totally fine to do. Then pour your piece as normal. You'll be good to go. But what can happen is the epoxy can self-level to those holes. So the look of the piece is going to look like it's draining, right? It's going to run a little bit to those holes. So you can create a tape dam, or what I do is I just cut it out tomorrow. I'll take my 1 3/8 hole saw, which is the hole for your shower head, and just find that on center and then drill right through that. And then you can also use a router. If you're at a shop, you could use your router with a plunge bit and go buzz it out instantly, super fast and easy, nice and clean. And then that way, your epoxy technique isn't draining into those holes, catching your eye. This will be a more realistic look. It's like a slab of granite at this point. How are those front edges looking, Nate?
Amazing.
They looking good?
We gotta wrap up.
We gotta wrap it up? Guys, this was tons of fun. That was the fastest 30 minutes of my entire work week. I appreciate y'all being here. Let me know any comments. I'll stay in the comments a little bit longer, helping you answer any questions. I appreciate you joining the Van Life Summit this year. If you haven't already, pay that extra money so you get all the access to all these videos from all these amazing creators. You're gonna learn everything you need to know how to turn that van life RV skoolie dream into reality. Thanks for being with us, everybody. And until next time from Stone Coat Countertops, you got this, and we'll see you at the next Van Life Summit. Let's go. All right, let's get on to some of those comments. I'm gonna hop in. Nate, give them an up.